Hello, dear friends. Wish you a new day full of joy and luck. After days of storms, loss and tears, happiness finally smiled on Alex, Tuna, and baby Henry. In today's video, we will witness a moment filled with love, where there is no more pain, only tight hugs, eyes filled with trust and laughter of a small family. A peaceful day seems simple, but for them, it is a priceless gift after so many storms. Stay until the end of the video to fully experience the journey after the storm. Only love remains, where every moment makes your heart melt with emotion and belief in the miracle of love. Early in the morning, when the first rays of sunlight had just filtered through the steamy window, Tuna quietly woke up. There was no longer the sound of pouring rain, no longer the howling wind on the porch, only a moment of silence after the storm. The early sunlight gradually rose, filtering through the leaves, clearly illuminating every speck of dust still floating in the air. Tuna was still quietly cleaning. Each sweep of the broom on the wet tile floor made a soft sound, mixed with the faint chirping of birds somewhere on the roof. The storm had passed, but the traces it left behind were still present, not only in the garden, but also in the girl's heart. She picked up the chair that had been knocked over by the wind, wiped the mud off the wooden table. Each object was associated with a memory. The morning Alex sat drinking coffee. The afternoon Henry practiced doodling with watercolors. Now, she was alone in the large yard. The sound of the gentle wind blowing through made her heart feel even more empty. A breeze blew by, carrying the scent of damp soil and young grass, causing Tuna to slightly raise her head. The sky had cleared up again, white clouds drifting lazily like cotton, signaling a new beginning. She smiled faintly. Although tired, there was still an indescribable peace in her heart. Tuna bent down, picking up each broken flower branch. Those fragile petals were like herself, once swept away by a storm, but still resilient in wanting to live. If trees can sprout after the rain, then people can also start over after a breakdown, she told herself. Tuna's hands were covered in mud. Her shirt was covered in old rainwater, but no one saw her fatigue. They only saw a small, resilient woman in the midst of the ruins, patiently cleaning up bit by bit, as if she was cleaning up all the faith and hope in her heart. From afar, the sound of a rooster crowed, signaling the true beginning of a new day. She raised her head and looked out at the road in front of her house, where the storm had swept away many things, but also left behind something invisible. Strength, a quiet but powerful strength, which could only be born from those who had gone through pain and still knew how to smile. The sound of light footsteps behind him startled Tuna, making her turn around. Alex stood there, his shirt sleeves rolled up, his hair still wet with dew, his warm smile seeming to dispel the coldness left after the storm. "I'm here to help you," he said, his voice hoarse but familiar. That simple sentence, to Tuna, was like an invisible comfort. The two of them went to the back of the house, where the small piece of muddy land was waiting to be revived. Alex shoveled dirt, while Tuna picked up the broken flower branches. The weak sunlight filtered through the tree canopy, shining on their dirty hands, but in their eyes, there was something sparkling like faith, like a new beginning. In the silence, Alex spoke. "Today, I'm not going anywhere. I'll stay here, with you all day." Tuna paused, her eyes wide with surprise. She didn't answer, just bowed her head slightly, hiding the smile that was slowly blooming on her lips. Her heart beat faster, not because of fatigue, but because of sudden happiness, a feeling she hadn't felt in a long time. The midday sun had begun to pour through the porch, filtering through the gaps between the leaves, illuminating the family's small kitchen. Tuna gently tied her hair, her hands still covered in mud, but her eyes were bright and clear, relieved. Alex stood behind her, silently watching for a long time. For the first time in so many days, he saw her so peaceful. Henry was fast asleep in the crib upstairs, gentle as a lullaby. Alex stepped closer, his voice soft, enough for only her to hear. "I want to cook with you today, a meal for our little family." Tuna looked at him in surprise. Her eyes sparkled, hiding so many unspoken things. "Really, don't you have to go to the warehouse?" Alex smiled softly. "No, You said you wanted to be with me today. Completely. Just the two words completely made Tana's heart tremble. It had been a long time since she had seen him so gentle. Not the busy, worried man, but the Alex of the first day she fell in love. Warm, caring, and affectionate. The two of them prepared the food together. The sound of knives and soft laughter echoed through the kitchen. She bent down. He stood close behind, his breath gently blowing on her hair, making her heart beat faster. Perhaps it had been so long since they had been this close. Not in arguments, but in a moment of peace. You're doing it too hard, Tuna chuckled, her voice tinged with gentleness. Look at you mixing. The meat is about to fly out. Alex laughed, pretending to be serious. You're mixing love in there. The simple sentence made Tana's heart clench. She looked up at him. Their eyes met for a few seconds, so long and deep that no words were needed. Tana slowly showed him how to make spring rolls. His hand was big and warm, gently touching hers. It was just a very light touch, but it made her heart tremble. He looked at her, his voice dropping. I miss the meals you cooked. Peaceful days like this. Tana was silent for a moment, then replied softly, Me too. It's just, sometimes I'm afraid that after the storm, everything will not be the same. Alex placed his hand on hers, his voice slow. The storm can take away many things, but it can't take away my love for you. The warmth from his hand gradually spread to her. In Tuna's eyes, the worries seemed to disappear. She bowed her head slightly, smiled, her voice as small as the wind. I believe you. The pan of oil began to boil. Tuna carefully placed each spring roll in, the aroma spreading throughout the space. Alex suddenly whispered, I forgot, you're most beautiful when you're standing in the kitchen like this. Tuna smiled, but the corners of her eyes were slightly wet. How many times had she waited for such gentle words, but now she finally heard them. Her voice trembled slightly. If you say so, I won't be able to bear to leave the kitchen, then stay here forever, Alex replied, both joking and serious. I will cook with you every day. They set the meal on the table together. The midday sun streamed through the window, golden light covering their faces. There were only two people, but everything was complete. When Tuna picked up a spring roll for Alex, his eyes softened slightly. He looked at her, then said softly, Thank you for not leaving me behind. The words made Tuna stop using her chopsticks. She looked up, her eyes filled with tears, her voice choked. I never intended to leave. I just need you to remember that I also get tired and need to be loved. Alex reached out and gently touched her hand. I know, and I will learn to love you better. The space fell silent. Only the sound of the fan and the light laughter rang out afterwards. Above, Henry gently turned over, as if blending into that peaceful rhythm. Neither of them said anything more. The sunlight outside still streamed through the leaves. The gentle wind gently shook the curtains. In the warmth of that noon, they stood there, two hearts that had been battered by the storm, now finding each other again, not through promises, but through deep understanding and love that was still alive, still growing every day, in the small kitchen of the two.